Welcome, dear friends, to a peaceful journey through the fascinating factions of Fallout, where we will softly explore the intricate stories of the groups that have shaped this post apocalyptic world. From the resilient Brotherhood of Steel to the enigmatic Institute, tonight we'll uncover 150 fascinating facts that paint a picture of survival, ideals, and the ever present battle for control in a world ravaged by war. As we drift through the histories of these factions, we'll witness their rise, their struggles, and their legacies, each fact unfolding like a gentle whisper from the wasteland. Allow this story to guide you through a quiet space where the echoes of the past meet the calm of the present. Take a deep breath, feel the softness of this moment, and release any tensions in your body. Let the slow rhythm of this journey settle you into the peace of the night. And if you enjoy drifting through stories like this, you're welcome to subscribe and softly tell me where you're listening from tonight. Now let's begin our journey with the first of these 150 Fallout faction facts, each one a quiet step deeper into the heart of the wasteland. Fact 1. In the beginning, the Brotherhood of Steel was born out of a desire to protect and preserve the remnants of pre-war technology. Founded by the survivors of the American military, their purpose was to safeguard the advanced technology left behind after the Great War. The Brotherhood's obsession with technology would shape their actions for centuries as they sought to control, study, and sometimes hoard these powerful relics of the past. Their solemn vow was to ensure the mistakes of the old world would not be repeated, though their methods often led to isolation and conflict with others in the wasteland. Fact 2. The New California Republic, NCIR, one of the largest and most influential factions in the Fallout universe, began as a small band of survivors in the Mojave region. They initially focused on rebuilding basic infrastructure, such as water purification and trade routes. Over time, the NCR grew into a military powerhouse, aiming to bring law and order to the chaotic wasteland. Their vision of a new republic, governed by democratic ideals, sometimes clashes with the harsh realities of the wasteland, where survival often trumps diplomacy. This tension is at the heart of their conflict with other factions like the Legion. Fact 3. The Enclave, one of the most secretive and malevolent factions in Fallout lore, claims to be the legitimate government of the United States, believing the rest of the world perished in the Great War. Hidden away in remote locations, they possess advanced technology, including power armor and devastating weapons. Their leader, President Richard Gray, is driven by the belief that only those of pure American bloodline deserve to survive in the New World. Their actions, often ruthless and cold, have earned them the reputation of being one of the most dangerous and morally bankrupt factions to ever emerge. Fact 4. Vault Tech, the corporation behind the vaults scattered across the United States, is often viewed as a necessary evil. While the company marketed the vaults as a means of survival during the nuclear apocalypse, many of them were secretly designed for cruel and unethical experiments. These social experiments tested the limits of human endurance and morality, often subjecting their inhabitants to intense psychological and physical stress. Over time, vault tech became a symbol of betrayal, with its vaults serving as a reminder of how the powerful used the apocalypse to conduct experiments on the unsuspecting. Fact 5. The Institute, located beneath the Commonwealth, is a mysterious faction that uses advanced scientific methods to manipulate life itself. Known for creating synthetic humans, or synths, the Institute believes they are the next step in human evolution, viewing their creations as superior to biological humans. Their pursuit of knowledge and power through science has led them to become one of the most controversial factions in Fallout. The conflict between the Institute and the Commonwealth's inhabitants stems from their differing views on technology, with many seeing the Institute as a danger to humanity's survival and freedom. Fact 6. The Minutemen, a faction initially formed to provide aid to struggling settlements, emerged as a beacon of hope in the Commonwealth. Led by Preston Garvey in the post-apocalyptic world, the Minutemen's core belief was that everyone had the right to a safe, free life. Unlike many other factions, they were not driven by conquest or control, but by the desire to protect the people from raiders, super mutants, and other dangers. Their struggle, however, is often one of survival, and they frequently find themselves at odds with larger, more powerful factions like the Brotherhood and the Institute. Fact 7. The Railroad, a faction dedicated to freeing synths from the Institute's control, operates in secret, using clandestine methods to help escapees find freedom in the wasteland. Comprised mostly of former slaves and sympathetic humans, the Railroad believes that synths, despite being artificial beings, deserve the same rights and freedoms as any human. Their underground network is shrouded in mystery, and their cause is one of resistance against the powerful forces of the Institute. Despite their noble cause, the Railroad's efforts often put them in direct conflict with other factions who view synths as either a tool or a threat. Fact 8. The Legion, led by the ruthless Caesar, is a brutal and authoritarian faction built on the principles of Roman-style slavery, conquest, and discipline. This group has carved a path through the Mojave, seeking to impose its strict social order through fear and violence. Unlike the NCR, the Legion believes in strength through absolute control, where slaves are an essential part of their economic and military power. Caesar's vision for the wasteland is one of complete domination, where the strong survive and the weak serve, a philosophy that has brought the Legion into direct conflict with the more democratic NCR. Fact 9. The Children of Adam, a mysterious and often misunderstood faction, worship the atomic bomb as a divine force. They believe that radiation is a blessing, a purifier that will ultimately cleanse the world and usher in a new age. Their followers, often seen as fanatic or insane, live in the ruins of places like the Capital Wasteland, preaching the holy power of radiation. While many view them as a cult, the children of Adam see themselves as the chosen ones, spreading the word of Adam's will in a world that has forgotten the true power of the atom. Fact 10. The Great Khans, originally a group of raiders, evolved into a faction with their own distinct identity and values. Once known for their lawlessness and brutal tactics, they eventually sought to build a society based on their own codes of honor and self reliance. The great Khans, despite their violent past, view themselves as survivors, not merely as conquerors. Their disdain for the NCR and their ambitions to carve out their own place in the wasteland often bring them into conflict with both the larger, more established factions and the more traditional settlers looking for peace. Fact 11. The wasteland is home to countless raider groups, each with its own ruthless leadership and set of rules. One of the most notorious of these groups is the Talon Company, a mercenary faction that specializes in combat and infiltration. Their ultimate goal is profit, often at the expense of anyone unfortunate enough to cross their path. Unlike other factions, the Talon Company works for anyone who can pay their price, making them both feared and respected throughout the Mojave. Despite their lack of ideology, their reputation for brutality ensures that they never lack for clients. Fact 12. The Institute's power stems not just from its technological advancements, but from its ability to manipulate its own creations. The synths, artificially created humans, have evolved into a focal point of the Institute's vision for the future. Over the years, the Institute has used them for everything from covert operations to military strategy, hiding their true intentions behind the guise of progress. While some synths are created with the best of intentions, many come to question their existence and humanity. These questions have caused a ripple effect, leading to conflicts that will change the course of the Institute's future. Fact 13. The Brotherhood of Steel's reach extends far beyond California, influencing various regions, including the capital wasteland. Under the leadership of Elder Lyons, the Brotherhood's focus shifted from isolation to a more active involvement in helping the people of the wasteland. While their military might and technological superiority make them a formidable force, their struggle for a more altruistic mission put them at odds with other factions. The Brotherhood's eventual shift from a strictly militaristic force to one that attempts to maintain order and protect civilians reflects the ongoing evolution of their values, even in a chaotic world. Fact 14. The Mojave Wasteland serves as a battleground for two of the most prominent factions, the New California Republic, NCR, and Caesar's Legion. The NCR, with its democratic ideals and military discipline, sees itself as the last hope for a stable future, while Caesar's Legion is built on fear, domination, and a return to ancient Roman values. Despite their contrasting visions for the future, both factions have fought for control of the region, with the future of the Mojave hanging in the balance. The power struggle between the NCR and the Legion is the defining conflict of the wasteland. Fact 15. The Vault Tech Corporation, known for its vaults designed to protect humanity from the nuclear apocalypse, has a darker side that many are unaware of. While Vault Tech promised safety, its true goal was to observe and experiment on the vault residents. Many of these experiments were designed to test human resilience in extreme conditions, and the results were often disastrous. The corporation's legacy is one of betrayal, with its vaults serving as a reminder that survival, in the eyes of vault tech, was always secondary to the pursuit of knowledge and control. Fact 16. One of the more fascinating factions in the Fallout universe is the Rust Devils, a group that has found a way to survive by scavenging and repurposing old technology. Unlike many of the more organized factions, the Rust Devils are decentralized, relying on their ability to strip old machines and weapons for parts to keep their operations running. Their expertise in technology allows them to thrive in the wasteland, even without the power or resources of more prominent factions. While their methods are often viewed as dangerous, the Rust Devils remain a testament to the ingenuity and resourcefulness of the wasteland's inhabitants. Fact 17. The Brotherhood of Steel's fixation on technology is often misunderstood. Many believe the Brotherhood seeks to control and hoard technology for selfish reasons, but the true mission is more nuanced. The Brotherhood's primary goal is to ensure that technology, especially the more dangerous pre war relics, does not fall into the wrong hands. They are not simply hoarders of knowledge, but rather protectors of the wasteland from the catastrophic potential of lost technologies. However, this ideology often leads to conflict with other factions, as their strict control over technology places them in direct opposition to those who believe in its free use. Fact 18. The Children of Adam, one of the more enigmatic factions in the Fallout universe, view radiation as both a holy power and a purifying force. They believe that radiation, rather than being something to fear, is a divine gift from Adam, the god they worship. In their eyes, the wasteland's radioactive landscape is a place of spiritual rebirth where those who embrace the radiation will be cleansed and enlightened. This belief puts them at odds with those who see radiation as a destructive force. The children of Adam's commitment to their faith makes them a unique and often misunderstood faction. Fact 19. The Great Khans are a faction born out of chaos and violence, yet they strive to find a place for themselves in the post-apocalyptic world. Once a brutal gang of raiders, the Khans have evolved into a more complex society, one built on their own code of honor. While their past is marred by bloodshed and cruelty, they are not driven by mindless violence. The Great Khans value independence and self-reliance, and their resistance to being controlled by other factions reflects their desire to forge their own path in the harsh world of the wasteland. Fact 20. The Railroad's purpose is both noble and revolutionary: to free the synths created by the Institute and grant them the same rights as any human. In a world that views these artificial beings as little more than tools or weapons, the railroad stands as a beacon of hope for those who seek freedom. While their methods are often covert and their actions taken in secrecy, the railroad believes that synths, like humans, deserve a life free from oppression. Their cause is one of resistance, not just against the Institute, but against the very notion that anyone should be denied their right to exist freely. Fact 21. The Commonwealth, a wasteland once known for its thriving cities, is now a land of broken dreams and endless struggles. The Institute, hidden beneath the surface, continues its experiments in secret, pulling the strings of the region's future. Despite the dangers they pose, many in the Commonwealth look up to the Institute for its advanced technology and the potential it promises for rebuilding the world. The Institute's enigmatic presence, combined with the threat they pose to free will, creates a tense atmosphere in the Commonwealth. Their creations, the synths, are both a gift and a curse to those who encounter them. Fact 22. The Brotherhood of Steel's constant drive to protect humanity from the dangers of technology has led them to create some of the most advanced military forces in the wasteland. However, their strict isolationist policies often put them at odds with other factions. The Brotherhood's tendency to hoard technology for themselves, combined with their belief that they alone have the right to control advanced weaponry, makes them a polarizing force. While they genuinely aim to protect humanity from the fallout of pre war technology, their methods often alienate those they seek to protect, forcing many to question their true intentions. Fact 23. The Minutemen are a faction driven by a simple yet powerful idea that no one should have to face the wasteland's dangers alone. They began as a ragtag group of settlers trying to protect their homes from raiders and super mutants. Over time, the Minutemen grew into a more organized force, uniting various settlements under their banner. Unlike the NCR or the Legion, the Minutemen are not focused on conquest or domination. Instead, they seek to protect the people of the wasteland, providing aid, supplies, and defense to anyone in need, no matter their background or affiliation. Fact 24. The Legion, a brutal and war driven faction, is a force to be reckoned with in the Mojave Wasteland. Led by the charismatic yet tyrannical Caesar, the Legion seeks to impose its Roman inspired order upon the wasteland through slavery, fear, and conquest. Unlike the NCR, which is driven by democratic ideals, the Legion's philosophy is one of absolute control, where the strong rule and the weak serve. Caesar's vision for the future is one of strict discipline, where every citizen is either a soldier or a slave. The Legion's presence in the Mojave has made the region a volatile battleground. Fact 25. The Enclave, a shadowy faction that claims to be the true government of the United States, operates from the remnants of a pre-war military complex. Their primary objective is to restore the United States to its former glory, albeit through ruthless and destructive means. Led by President Richard Gray, the Enclave is willing to go to extreme lengths to achieve its goal, including committing genocide against anyone they deem unworthy. Their control over advanced technology, such as power armor and energy weapons, makes them a dangerous force in the wasteland. The Enclave's twisted sense of patriotism has earned them the ire of nearly every other faction. Fact 26. Vault Tech's legacy is one of secrecy and betrayal. The company, which built vaults meant to protect humanity during the nuclear apocalypse, had a darker agenda. The vaults were actually experiments in social engineering. These social experiments tested the limits of human endurance, often with devastating results. Some vaults were designed to expose their residents to extreme conditions, such as a complete isolation, limited resources, or artificial life support failures. While Vault Tech's employees may have believed they were ensuring the survival of humanity, their experiments often led to the destruction of the very people they sought to protect. Fact 27. The Railroad is a clandestine faction that seeks to free the synths created by the Institute, viewing them not as mere machines, but as sentient beings deserving of freedom. Unlike the Institute, which believes synths are tools to be controlled, the Railroad operates in secrecy, working tirelessly to help these artificial beings escape their creators. Their methods are often subtle and underground, relying on stealth and subversion to achieve their goals. Despite their noble mission, the Railroad is often hunted by the Institute, which views them as a threat to their control over the synths and their agenda for the future. Fact 28. The Children of Adam, a religious faction that worships the power of the atom, sees radiation as a divine force meant to purify and transform the world. They believe that the nuclear bombs dropped on the world were not a sign of destruction, but a blessing from their god, Adam. Their faith is one of radical acceptance, viewing radiation as a source of enlightenment rather than fear. For the children of Adam, the wasteland's irradiated landscape is sacred, and they believe that those who embrace it will be rewarded with transcendence. Their practices and beliefs are often misunderstood by outsiders. Fact 29. The Great Khans, once a brutal gang of raiders, have evolved into a faction with their own identity, values, and a complex code of honor. While their violent past cannot be erased, the Khans now seek to find a place for themselves in the New World. They reject the authority of the NCR and Caesar's Legion, instead choosing to live by their own rules. The Great Khans are a symbol of independence in a world where survival often means bowing to a larger power. Their legacy is one of defiance as they continue to fight for their place in the wasteland. Fact 30. The Gunners, a mercenary group based in the Commonwealth, are known for their ruthless tactics and highly organized military structure. Unlike other mercenary factions, the Gunners are not driven by the desire for profit alone. They have a deeper, more dangerous goal: power. The Gunners operate as a highly trained military unit, offering their services to the highest bidder, often taking on missions that are too dangerous for other groups. Their expertise in combat and weaponry makes them a formidable force in the wasteland, and their willingness to fight for control has brought them into conflict with nearly every other faction in the region. Fact 31. The Institute's rise to power in the Commonwealth is a tale of ambition, secrecy, and technological supremacy. Their underground facilities, hidden deep beneath the surface, house some of the most advanced scientific minds in the wasteland. The Institute's primary mission is the creation of synths, artificial humans meant to replace the flawed and broken society above. However, their experiments often blur the line between creator and creation, raising questions about the true nature of humanity. Despite their noble intentions to advance science, their secretive operations and the potential danger posed by their creations have made them a target of those who seek to stop them. Fact 32. The Brotherhood of Steel's technological prowess has led them to acquire some of the most advanced weaponry in the wasteland. Their signature power armor, a testament to their superior military technology, provides unmatched protection and strength. The Brotherhood uses this armor to wage wars against those who threaten humanity's survival, believing their cause to be just. However, their methods often lead them into conflict with other factions, as their strict adherence to their code and their control over technology create friction with those who believe in a more open, democratic society. Despite their flaws, the Brotherhood remains one of the most powerful forces in the wasteland. Fact 33. The NCR, founded as a military organization, eventually grew into a sprawling republic with its own government, laws, and military. The NCR's goal is to bring order to the wasteland, creating a society based on democratic principles and law. They have expanded their territory across much of the Mojave, engaging in constant battles with rival factions, particularly Caesar's Legion. The NCR's strength lies in its ability to unite people under a single cause, but their political struggles, corruption, and internal divisions often complicate their efforts to establish peace. Despite their best intentions, the NCR's vision for the future is fraught with challenges. Fact 34. Caesar's Legion is a ruthless faction built on the principles of slavery, war, and domination, led by the merciless Caesar, whose vision of a new Roman Empire has been imposed on the Mojave. The Legion is known for its brutality. Their practice of enslaving conquered peoples, particularly women, and forcing them into a subjugated life of servitude is a central part of their strategy. The Legion's strict code of discipline and militaristic approach to conquest sets them apart from other factions, yet their cruelty has earned them the hatred of nearly every other faction in the wasteland. Fact 35. The Minutemen are a decentralized faction dedicated to providing protection and aid to the wasteland's struggling settlements. Unlike other factions driven by power or control, the Minutemen prioritize the safety and well-being of the common people. They believe that every individual deserves the right to live without fear of raiders, mutants, or other dangers. Though initially a small group, the Minutemen have grown into a force for good, with settlements across the Commonwealth relying on them for protection. Their core values of equality and freedom make them one of the more honorable factions, even if they are often outmatched by their more powerful enemies. Fact 36. The Railroad's primary mission is to help free the synths created by the Institute, who are seen as nothing more than tools by their creators. The Railroad believes that these synthetic beings are just as human as anyone else and deserve to live freely. Their efforts to help synths escape the Institute's control often put them at odds with the Institute itself, which views the Railroad as a threat to their experiments. Operating in the shadows, the Railroad is a symbol of resistance, fighting for the freedom of those who are oppressed and overlooked by the world around them. Fact 37. Vault Tech, the corporation behind the vaults that were meant to protect humanity from the apocalypse, has a darker history than most realize. While the vaults were advertised as safe havens, they were often designed to conduct cruel experiments on their residents. These experiments tested the limits of human endurance, psychological resilience, and social structures, with devastating consequences. The residents of these vaults were often unaware of the true nature of the experiments they were part of, leading to betrayal and suffering. Vault Tech's true purpose was never about survival. It was about studying human behavior in extreme conditions. Fact 38. The children of Adam's belief that radiation is a divine force has made them one of the most unique factions in the wasteland. They view the atom as a god and radiation as a cleansing and transformative power. Unlike other factions that seek to avoid or control radiation, the children of Adam embrace it. They believe that the wasteland's irradiated landscape is sacred, and those who are exposed to its power will be purified. While their faith is often viewed as madness, the children of Adam remain steadfast in their belief, and their zealotry makes them a dangerous faction to underestimate. Fact 39. The Great Khans have a long history in the Mojave, known for their violent tendencies and their disregard for authority. However, unlike other raider factions, the Khans have always had their own code of honor. They see themselves as warriors and survivors, and their conflict with the NCR and Caesar's Legion stems from their refusal to be controlled by either faction. Over time, the Khans have tried to distance themselves from their violent past, seeking a place for themselves in a world that has no place for people like them. Their struggles are a testament to their resilience and their desire for self-determination. Fact 40. The Gunners, a mercenary group operating in the Commonwealth, are known for their brutal efficiency and ruthless tactics. They are a well-organized military force, offering their services to the highest bidder. Unlike the Minutemen, who fight for the common good, the Gunners are driven solely by profit. They have no loyalty to any particular cause or ideology, which makes them a dangerous wild card in the wasteland. Their ability to engage in high-level military operations has earned them a reputation as one of the most formidable mercenary factions, though their lack of morality often puts them in conflict with other groups. Fact 41. The Institute's true purpose has long been a subject of mystery and speculation. While many believe their primary goal is to advance science and technology, others see their motives as darker, driven by a desire for control. The Institute's synths are their most controversial creation. These artificial beings, created to mimic human life in every way, are treated as tools by the Institute. However, as these synths become more advanced and gain sentience, they begin to question their existence, leading to a moral dilemma that threatens the Institute's entire vision for the future. The conflict over synths will shape the Institute's legacy. Fact 42. The Brotherhood of Steel, while often seen as an aggressive force for control, operates under a strict code of honor. Their primary goal is to protect humanity from the dangers of pre-war technology, particularly the most dangerous weapons, and advanced machinery. The Brotherhood's obsession with technology often causes them to clash with other factions, especially those that seek to use technology for their own gain. While they have the power to dominate the wasteland, the Brotherhood is constantly divided by internal struggles over the direction they should take. Their focus on technology can sometimes make them appear as cold and detached. Fact 43: the New California Republic, NCR, sees itself as a beacon of hope in the wasteland, a government that stands for democracy, order, and justice. Founded by the survivors of Vault 13, the NCRR grew from a small military faction into one of the largest and most influential factions in the Mojave. Their goal is to rebuild the pre-war United States, creating a society based on laws and equality. While their democratic ideals are noble, the NCR's military might and its tendency to get involved in the politics of other factions often lead to tension. The NCR's efforts to maintain peace can be as costly as war. Fact 44: Caesar's Legion, though often seen as a symbol of tyranny, operates on principles of strength and discipline. Its leader, Caesar, built the Legion on a vision of an empire where only the strong survive and the weak serve. The Legion's strict military hierarchy, brutal methods, and system of slavery are central to their philosophy. Under Caesar's rule, the Legion seeks to conquer the wasteland, using fear and absolute control to impose order. Despite their cruelty, the Legion has a sense of unity and purpose that many other factions lack. Their presence in the Mojave is a constant source of conflict with the NCR. Fact 45: the children of Adam's belief that radiation is sacred is central to their existence in the wasteland. Unlike other factions who view radiation as a dangerous byproduct of the apocalypse, the children of Adam see it as a divine force capable of cleansing and transforming the world. This faction's faith in the atom guides their actions and rituals, with their followers often seeking out areas of high radiation to bask in its supposed holy power. Their presence in places like the Commonwealth is marked by their devotion to Adam and their attempts to spread the word of their faith to others, often causing confusion and fear. Fact 46: the Minutemen are a faction dedicated to helping the people of the wasteland, offering protection and support to those in need. Unlike the NCR, the Minutemen are not driven by conquest or power, but by a deep sense of duty and responsibility to the common folk. Originally formed to protect settlers from raiders, the Minutemen have grown into a network of volunteer defenders who prioritize individual freedom and community cooperation. Their struggle is often one of survival, as they seek to maintain their ideals in a world dominated by more powerful and militaristic factions. Despite their relatively small numbers, the Minutemen remain an enduring symbol of hope. Fact 47: the Gunners are a mercenary group that has carved out a reputation for being one of the most dangerous factions in the Commonwealth. Unlike other mercenary groups, the Gunners are highly organized and militaristic, operating as a professional army for hire. Their primary motivation is profit, and they will take on any job, no matter how morally questionable. Their expertise in combat and advanced weaponry makes them a formidable force in the wasteland, but their willingness to work for anyone with enough caps has made them enemies of many factions. The gunners are willing to use their firepower to dominate any region they set their sights on. Fact 48. Vault Tech's legacy in the wasteland is a dark one. While the company's vaults were advertised as safe havens from nuclear fallout, many of them were actually designed to test the limits of human endurance through cruel social experiments. These experiments were conducted with little regard for the well being of the people inside. In some cases, the vaults were used to study the effects of extreme isolation, while others were designed to provoke conflict and violence between the inhabitants. The tragic irony is that Vault Tech's actions, meant to ensure survival, often led to the destruction of the very people they claimed to protect. Fact 49. The Institute's rise to power in the Commonwealth was a slow and secretive process. For years, they operated in the shadows, manipulating events and orchestrating their own rise to dominance. Their use of synths, artificial humans that are indistinguishable from real people, gave them the power to infiltrate society undetected. While their goal is to rebuild society using advanced technology, their methods often come into direct conflict with those who seek freedom. The Institute's control over its creations has led to moral and ethical debates, with many questioning whether they should be allowed to shape the future of humanity. Fact 50. The Railroad's dedication to freeing synths from the Institute's control has made them one of the most sympathetic factions in the wasteland. While other factions see synths as nothing more than tools, the Railroad believes that these creations are just as human as anyone else and deserve the right to live freely. The Railroad operates in secret, using their network of safe houses and hidden pathways to help synths escape the Institute. Despite their small size, their efforts have made a significant impact in the Commonwealth, offering hope to those trapped by the Institute's grasp. Fact 51. The Brotherhood of Steel's obsession with technology sometimes blinds them to the needs of the people around them. Though they claim to protect humanity from dangerous pre-war technologies, their inflexibility and secrecy often put them at odds with other factions. The Brotherhood's tendency to hoard technology, combined with their authoritarian structure, creates friction with groups like the NCR and the Minutemen, who seek a more democratic approach to governance. Despite this, the Brotherhood's advanced military capabilities, particularly their power armor and energy weapons, make them a dominant force in the wasteland, even if their methods are sometimes seen as extreme. Fact 52. Caesar's Legion is not just a military force, but a society built on brutal discipline and absolute power. Their structure mimics that of ancient Rome, with slaves, soldiers, and generals all fulfilling their roles in a strict hierarchy. The Legion's emphasis on strength and subjugation is apparent in their treatment of women and conquered peoples who are often enslaved or executed. Caesar himself sees his empire as a necessary force to bring order to the chaotic wasteland, but his vision of empire is founded on fear and oppression, making the Legion a feared and reviled faction in the Mojave. Fact 53. The Institute's hold over the Commonwealth is far reaching, though they remain hidden from the public eye. Their creation of synths is a central element of their plan to reshape humanity. But the moral implications of creating life are not lost on many. The synths, though designed to be perfect copies of humans, often begin to question their own existence. This philosophical conflict between creator and creation is at the heart of the Institute's operations, and many of the synths are forced to confront the existential dilemma of whether they are truly alive or just machines created to serve a higher purpose. Fact 54. The new California Republic's expansion into the Mojave is a story of ambition and idealism tempered by the harsh realities of the wasteland. The NCR's goal is to restore order and establish a democratic society where law and justice reign. However, their efforts to expand are constantly hindered by internal corruption, bureaucratic inefficiency, and the constant threat from rival factions like Caesar's Legion. The NCR's desire for stability often puts them in conflict with those who reject centralized power, such as the Great Khans and the independent settlements that resist being absorbed into the Republic's control. Fact 55. The Minutemen's rise in the Commonwealth is a beacon of hope for those who have been abandoned by other factions. They are not a military force like the NCR or the Brotherhood, but rather a loose confederation of individuals committed to protecting and rebuilding the wasteland. Their core values are centered around freedom, equality, and self-reliance, and they prioritize the needs of the common people over the ambitions of powerful factions. Though they lack the resources and influence of larger factions, the Minutemen's commitment to their cause has made them a symbol of resistance against oppression. Fact 56. The railroad operates in the shadows, working tirelessly to free the synths from the Institute's control. They view synths as sentient beings, deserving of the same rights and freedoms as any human. Their goal is not only to liberate the synths, but to ensure that they are accepted into society, despite the prejudice they face. The railroad's methods are often secretive and covert, using hidden networks and safe houses to transport synths to freedom. Their efforts to undermine the Institute's control put them at constant risk, but they remain committed to their cause, believing that the synths deserve a chance at life. Fact 57. The Gunners, a well-organized mercenary group, have made their mark in the Commonwealth through ruthless efficiency and strategic military operations. Unlike other mercenaries who fight for coin, the Gunners are a professional army with a distinct military hierarchy. They are often hired for the most dangerous and lucrative jobs, taking on assignments that require precision and military expertise. However, their lack of moral alignment and willingness to work for any client, regardless of the cause, has made them a merciless faction that is both feared and despised by those who encounter them. Fact 58. Vault Tech's experiments were not limited to the vaults. The corporation's influence spread throughout the wasteland, leaving a trail of devastation and betrayal. Vault-Tech's vaults were designed to test human endurance and social behavior under extreme conditions, and the results were often disastrous. In some cases, the vaults were meant to observe how people would react to certain stimuli, such as complete isolation or forced conflict. These experiments were conducted without the consent of the vault residents, who were left to suffer the consequences of Vault-Tech's cruel designs. The corporation's legacy is one of manipulation, deception, and disregard for human life. Fact 59. The children of Adam are a religious faction that worships the atom as a divine force, believing that radiation is a purifying and transformative power. Unlike other factions who see radiation as a dangerous byproduct of the apocalypse, the children of Adam see it as a sacred gift that will ultimately lead to the rebirth of the world. Their faith is built around the idea that radiation is not something to fear, but something to embrace. The children of Adam's devotion to the atom leads them to seek out highly irradiated areas, believing that those who survive the radiation will be blessed. Fact 60. The Great Khans, once a feared gang of raiders, have evolved into a more complex faction over the years. Though they still hold on to their violent past, the Khans have begun to seek a place for themselves in the post-apocalyptic world. They reject the authority of factions like the NCR and Sazer's Legion, choosing instead to live by their own rules. The Great Khans see themselves as survivors, not conquerors, and their desire for independence often brings them into conflict with larger, more powerful factions. Despite their violent history, the Khans remain a symbol of resilience and defiance. Fact 61. The Institute's hidden nature allows them to operate in secrecy for many years, manipulating the world above without interference. While the common people of the Commonwealth have no knowledge of the Institute's existence, their creations, the synths, have quietly infiltrated society. The Institute's long-term goal is to create a perfect society built upon their vision of a technologically advanced future. However, this vision comes at a great cost: the lives of those who are considered inferior. To the Institute, humanity's future is best determined through controlled evolution, where those who don't conform to their ideals are discarded or replaced. Fact 62. The Brotherhood of Steel's relationship with the Commonwealth is a complex one, marked by both cooperation and conflict. While the Brotherhood views itself as the protector of humanity's technological heritage, their rigid doctrine often puts them at odds with other factions, particularly the Commonwealth's more independent settlers. Their presence in the region is both a blessing and a curse. While their technological expertise can help rebuild society, their authoritarian control over advanced weaponry and technology raises concerns. Their role in the Commonwealth often oscillates between savior and overlord, depending on who you ask. Fact 63. The New California Republic, NCR, faces numerous challenges as it tries to expand into the Mojave Wasteland. While they are driven by ideals of democracy and order, their efforts to bring stability often clash with other factions who view the NCR's control as an imposition. The NCR's military is stretched thin, fighting both the Legion and internal political struggles. Their government is often bogged down by bureaucracy and corruption, making it difficult for them to achieve their lofty goals. Still, the NCR remains one of the largest and most influential factions in the region, largely due to their military strength and the infrastructure. Fact 64: Caesar's Legion, unlike the NCR, relies on sheer force and authoritarian control to impose their will on the wasteland. Their military might is backed by a rigid societal structure that is built around conquest, slavery, and fear. Caesar, the leader of the Legion, is a charismatic and ruthless dictator who commands absolute loyalty from his followers. The Legion's ideology is rooted in the belief that only the strongest deserve to survive, and through their brutal conquests, they seek to rebuild the world in their image. While the Legion's goals may seem archaic, their efficiency and power make them a serious threat. Fact 65: The children of Adam's belief that radiation is divine has led them to become one of the most unique factions in the wasteland. Their faith centers on the idea that radiation is a purifying and transformative force that will ultimately cleanse the world. They see the wasteland's irradiated landscape as sacred ground where the survivors will be reborn in the light of Adam's will. While their beliefs are often seen as bizarre and dangerous by other factions, the children of Adam's devotion to their faith gives them purpose in a world where most are driven by survival alone. Fact 66: The Minutemen, despite their relatively small numbers, play a crucial role in the Commonwealth's struggle for peace and freedom. They are not driven by political or military power, but by the desire to protect and defend the common people. The Minutemen's core belief is that every individual has the right to live without fear of raiders, mutants, or other dangers. They operate as a loose network of volunteers who offer their services to settlements in need of protection. Their values of cooperation, community, and mutual support make them a force for good in an otherwise fractured and dangerous world. Fact 67: The railroad's underground network of operatives works tirelessly to free synths from the Institute's grasp, believing that these artificial beings deserve the same rights as any human. Their work is dangerous, as the Institute sees the railroad as a direct threat to their control over the synths. Despite the constant risk of discovery and the lack of resources, the railroad continues its mission, determined to give synths a chance at freedom. The railroad's dedication to their cause has made them one of the most morally driven factions in the Commonwealth, though their methods often put them at odds with other groups. Fact 68: Vault-Tech's actions have left a lasting impact on the wasteland, as the vaults that were supposed to protect humanity during the nuclear apocalypse turned out to be cruel experiments on the vault residents. Each vault was designed with its own twisted experiment in mind, from controlling human behavior to testing the effects of isolation and deprivation. Many vaults were never intended to offer true protection, but rather to observe how people would react to extreme conditions. Vault-Tech's actions have made them one of the most reviled entities in the wasteland, as their legacy is one of betrayal and suffering. Fact 69. The Great Khans, despite their violent past, are a faction with their own sense of honor and pride. Initially a group of raiders, the Khans have grown into a more organized society, one that rejects the control of factions like the NCR and Caesar's Legion. They view themselves as independent survivors, unbound by the laws and regulations of other factions. The Khans' sense of identity is tied to their history and their warrior code, and they are willing to fight anyone who attempts to impose their will upon them. Their journey is one of resistance and self determination. Fact 70. The Gunners are one of the most dangerous mercenary factions in the wasteland, offering their military expertise to anyone willing to pay. Unlike other mercenary groups that are motivated by profit alone, the Gunners are highly disciplined and organized, operating like a professional army for hire. They are often hired to deal with high risk operations, including assassinations, raids, and large scale military engagements. Their ability to work with precision and without remorse makes them a formidable force, but their lack of a moral compass means they will take on any job, no matter how brutal or dangerous. Fact 71. The Commonwealth's varied factions often find themselves in a delicate dance of power, but one group that has remained constant in its resistance to the Institute's control is the Railroad. While their efforts are often quiet and hidden, they operate under a single, unwavering belief: synths deserve freedom. Despite the risks and dangers, the Railroad's underground network grows, helping synths escape from the Institute's clutches. They are willing to sacrifice everything for this cause, even though their efforts bring them into direct conflict with other powerful factions, including the Institute itself, which views the Railroad as a direct threat to their plans. Fact 72. The Institute's technological advancements have made it one of the most powerful factions in the Commonwealth. They possess the ability to create near-perfect replicas of humans, synths, and use this power to infiltrate various areas of society. While some view the Institute as a necessary force for technological progress, others, like the Railroad and the Minutemen, see them as a threat. The synths, in particular, are a point of contention, as they are often treated as tools to be controlled and discarded, but the moral dilemma they present challenges the Institute's ideology of progress and raises questions about the true cost of creation. Fact 73. The Brotherhood of Steel's origins trace back to the fall of the U.S. military during the Great War, and their mission has always been about preserving the knowledge and technology of the old world. Over time, however, their priorities have shifted. Once focused purely on technological preservation, the Brotherhood began to see themselves as protectors of humanity, seeking to use their advanced technology to fight against threats such as super mutants, raiders, and rogue factions. However, their belief that they alone should control technology has made them both a valuable ally and a dangerous adversary to other factions in the wasteland. Fact 74. The new California Republic's dream of establishing a functional democracy in the wasteland has been marred by corruption, political infighting, and an overwhelming bureaucracy. While the NCR has made impressive strides in rebuilding civilization, their vast size and need to govern multiple territories have made them prone to internal division. Their military campaigns, particularly in the Mojave, have been marked by logistical struggles and strained resources. Despite these challenges, the NCR remains committed to its vision of a democratic society, often finding itself in a precarious balance between maintaining order and managing the forces that threaten their unity. Fact 75: Caesar's Legion remains one of the most feared and oppressive factions in the wasteland. Their brutal system of slavery, inspired by the ancient Roman Empire, has allowed them to grow powerful through the subjugation of weaker tribes and settlements. Led by the tyrannical Caesar, the Legion forces its will upon the wasteland, using fear, strength, and unrelenting discipline to maintain control. They believe that only the strong deserve to survive, and their militaristic society is built on the backs of enslaved populations. This belief, though uncompromising, has allowed Caesar's Legion to maintain a tight grip on their territories, despite constant resistance from other factions. Fact 76: The children of Adam, often regarded as a fringe group, worship the atom as a god. Their belief is that the Great War and the ensuing radiation was not a tragedy but a divine act meant to purify the earth. Unlike most factions, the children of Adam embrace the wasteland's irradiated landscape, seeing it as a sacred space where they can commune with their god, Adam. While they remain a minority faction, their radical views on radiation and their zealous pursuit of their beliefs make them a unique and sometimes dangerous presence in the Commonwealth and beyond. Fact 77: The Minutemen, despite their humble beginnings, have become a symbol of hope and community in the Commonwealth. They believe in the power of the people to defend their homes and rebuild their society. Unlike more power-hungry factions, the Minutemen are focused on cooperation and mutual protection. Their ultimate goal is to create a safe environment where settlements can thrive, free from the constant threat of raiders and other dangers. Though they lack the military might of the Brotherhood or the NCR, their commitment to community defense and the belief in the power of the common people sets them apart as a faction rooted in idealism. Fact 78: The railroad's operations are often conducted under the cover of darkness, and they rely heavily on secrecy and subterfuge to achieve their goals. Their primary objective is the liberation of the synths from the Institute's control, but their methods have drawn criticism from other factions. The Railroad's belief that synths deserve the same rights as humans has made them a moral beacon in the wasteland, though their underground activities have put them at odds with the more powerful factions that wish to maintain control over the synths. Their fight for freedom is one of resistance against a technologically superior foe, and they are willing to risk everything for their cause. Fact 79: The Gunners, a ruthless and highly organized mercenary faction, operate with military precision and are feared throughout the Commonwealth. Unlike other raider groups, the Gunners are not driven by simple pillaging. They are professional soldiers who hire themselves out for a fee, taking on missions that others cannot. Their military training and use of advanced weaponry make them a deadly adversary. The gunners have no loyalty to any cause but their own, and their willingness to take on dangerous contracts has earned them both lucrative payouts and a reputation for being some of the most skilled mercenaries in the wasteland. Fact 80. Vault Tech's vaults were supposed to provide refuge from the Great War, but they were ultimately a series of cruel experiments designed to test human limits. The vaults were equipped with advanced technologies meant to keep the residents safe, but Vault Tech had a much darker agenda. Each vault was designed to study the social and psychological effects of different conditions, such as isolation, scarcity, and forced conflict. Some vaults were meant to test how people would react to complete control, while others tested the effects of limited resources. The truth behind Vault Tech's experiments left a legacy of betrayal and suffering in their wake. Fact 81. The Institute's dominance over the Commonwealth stems not only from their advanced technology, but also from their strategic manipulation of key factions. By creating synths and infiltrating various groups, the Institute has positioned itself as both a provider and a hidden puppet master. Their use of synths, often indistinguishable from humans, gives them the ability to gain power without revealing their true intentions. However, the moral dilemma posed by the synths, who are created to serve but gradually gain consciousness, forces the Institute into a precarious position, as many question the ethics behind their technological advancements. Fact 82. The Brotherhood of Steel's obsession with preserving technology and their militaristic approach have often led to friction with other factions, particularly those who seek to rebuild society in a less authoritarian way. Their refusal to share technological knowledge, combined with their view of themselves as the guardians of humanity's future, makes the Brotherhood a polarizing force. While they are capable of great acts of heroism, such as their interventions to save settlements from raiders or super mutants, their top down hierarchical structure often stifles the potential for cooperation with other factions that might offer a more democratic approach to rebuilding the world. Fact 83. The NCR's growth is fueled by its strong sense of duty to restore the pre war ideals of democracy and equality. Yet their expansion often comes at a heavy cost. The Republic's military might is stretched thin across multiple regions, and while their democratic ideals are noble, they sometimes fail to address the complexities of governing a vast and diverse population in a post apocalyptic world. Their attempts to bring order to the Mojave have made them a target for the Legion, but their internal struggles with corruption, bureaucracy, and political infighting often undermine their ability to act decisively. Fact 84. Caesar's Legion stands as one of the most brutal factions in the Fallout universe. Their Roman inspired society is built on conquest, discipline, and absolute control, with Caesar as their infallible leader. The Legion's practice of enslaving and sacrificing conquered people is integral to their expansionist agenda. Caesar's vision for the wasteland is one where strength and obedience are paramount, and anyone who resists is crushed. The Legion's harsh methods have made them enemies of many factions, but their unyielding belief in their vision for the future ensures they remain a dangerous force, one that will stop at nothing to achieve dominance. Fact 85. The children of Adam are a deeply devout group who believe that radiation, a product of the Great War, is not a curse, but a blessing. To them, the atom is a god, and the irradiated landscape is a sacred place. Unlike other factions that fear radiation, the children of Adam embrace it, believing that it purifies and transforms the world. Their faith leads them to seek out highly irradiated areas where they can commune with their God. While their beliefs are often viewed with skepticism and fear by outsiders, the children of Adam remain resolute in their devotion to the atom. Fact 86. The Minutemen have a simple yet powerful philosophy: to protect the common people from the dangers of the wasteland and to provide a sense of security and stability. Though they began as a small group of settlers banding together for mutual protection, the Minutemen eventually became a symbol of hope in the Commonwealth. Unlike other factions that are driven by political or military ambition, the Minutemen's core belief is that every person has the right to live in peace, free from the fear of raiders, super mutants, or other threats. Their dedication to the common good makes them one of the wasteland's most altruistic groups. Fact 87. The railroad operates in secrecy, working tirelessly to help free the synths from the Institute's control. They see synths as sentient beings, deserving of the same rights and freedoms as humans. Their underground network is composed of dedicated operatives who risk their lives to help these artificial humans escape from the clutches of the Institute. The railroad's methods are often clandestine, using hidden pathways and safe houses to ensure that the synths can escape undetected. Despite the danger they face, the railroad remains unwavering in their mission to ensure that the synths are not treated as property, but as free individuals. Fact 88. The Gunners are one of the most formidable mercenary groups in the Commonwealth, known for their precision, discipline, and ruthlessness. Unlike other raider groups, the Gunners operate with military precision, functioning as a professional army for hire. They are highly organized, with a strict hierarchy and a code of conduct that prioritizes efficiency and profit. The Gunners are often hired for high-risk missions, including assassinations, large-scale raids, and mercenary work for powerful factions. Their ability to take on dangerous jobs with calculated precision has made them one of the most respected and feared groups in the wasteland. Fact 89. Vault-Tech's vaults were designed not to protect the survivors of the Great War, but to conduct inhumane experiments on the people inside. Each vault was meant to serve as a controlled environment where various social, psychological, and environmental factors could be manipulated. These social experiments ranged from isolating the inhabitants for years at a time to testing the effects of extreme resource scarcity. The residents of these vaults were often unaware of the true purpose behind their incarceration leading to tragic outcomes. Vault-Tech's experiments were a dark chapter in the wasteland's history, revealing the corporation's callous disregard for human life. Fact 90. The Great Khans, though once a feared gang of raiders, have evolved over the years into a faction that values independence and self determination. Their warrior code, rooted in survival and self reliance, has kept them going long after many other raider groups have fallen by the wayside. The Khans reject the authority of larger factions like the NCR and Caesar's Legion, choosing instead to live by their own rules. While their violent past can never be erased, the Khans have worked to distance themselves from their old ways, seeking a place in the wasteland where they can live on their own terms. Fact 91. The Brotherhood of Steel's mission is rooted in the preservation of knowledge and technology, but their approach is often seen as extreme and exclusionary. Their insistence on controlling advanced weaponry and technology is driven by a deep fear of the destructive power of the pre-war world. While this protective stance may seem justified, their refusal to share knowledge and work with other factions often leads to isolation and conflict. The Brotherhood's military might, though impressive, is tempered by internal divisions and an ongoing debate about their role in the post-apocalyptic world. Their evolution reflects a struggle between protection and domination. Fact 92. The children of Adam's beliefs are centered on the notion that radiation, rather than being a curse, is a divine force of transformation. This faction sees the atom as a god and the post-apocalyptic world as a place where the faithful can experience a rebirth through exposure to radiation. Their faith in Adam leads them to seek out areas of high radiation, viewing them as sacred grounds where they can commune with their God. While their practices are often misunderstood and viewed with fear by others, the children of Adam remain unwavering in their devotion, seeing their faith as a path to salvation. Fact 93. The Minutemen, though often overshadowed by larger, more powerful factions like the NCR or the Brotherhood, have played a crucial role in stabilizing the Commonwealth. Their primary goal is not to conquer or control, but to protect the common people and ensure that settlements are safe from raiders, super mutants, and other threats. The Minutemen's belief in mutual cooperation and defense makes them a unique force in the wasteland. Despite their relatively small numbers, the Minutemen's dedication to their cause has earned them the respect of many, especially those who have benefited from their protection and aid. Fact 94. The NCR's democratic ideals are often tested by the harsh realities of the wasteland. While they strive to rebuild a society based on pre-war values of democracy and justice, their efforts are frequently thwarted by corruption, political infighting, and the need to maintain a massive military presence. The NCR's expansion into the Mojave has put them at odds with Caesar's Legion, and their inability to address internal divisions has weakened their influence. The NCR's struggle is one of balance between maintaining order, defending against external threats, and staying true to their founding ideals of democracy and freedom for all. Fact 95. Caesar's legion, with its Roman inspired structure, is a faction built on brutality, discipline, and domination. Caesar himself is a charismatic yet cruel leader, embodying the legion's values of strength and submission. The legion's system of slavery, particularly its use of women as property, reflects their belief in the superiority of the strong and the subjugation of the weak. Their practice of conquest and violence has allowed them to grow rapidly, but it has also made them a target of nearly every other faction. Despite their cruel methods, Caesar's vision for the future remains a constant threat in the Mojave. Fact 96. The Institute's experiments with synths have raised ethical questions about the nature of humanity. While the Institute views its creations as tools for a greater purpose, the synths themselves often question their existence, struggling to understand what it means to be human. Some synths develop emotions, desires, and personalities, creating a growing divide between their creators and themselves. This moral dilemma is at the heart of the Institute's mission. Are the synths simply machines to be controlled, or do they deserve autonomy and freedom like any living being? The Institute's actions challenge the very definition of life in the wasteland. Fact 97. The railroad's underground network operates in secrecy, always staying one step ahead of the Institute and their synth hunting operatives. The railroad's members are dedicated to one cause: the freedom of the synths. Unlike the Institute, which views synths as disposable creations, the railroad believes that these artificial beings are sentient and deserve the same rights as humans. The railroad works tirelessly to protect synths, helping them escape the Institute's control and giving them a chance at a better life. Despite the dangers they face, the railroad continues its fight against the Institute, seeing their mission as a moral imperative. Fact 98. Vault Tech's legacy is one of secrecy, manipulation, and moral ambiguity. While the vaults were originally designed to shelter humanity from the nuclear apocalypse, Vault Tech had much darker plans in mind. Each vault was the site of an inhumane social experiment, with the inhabitants unknowingly subjected to extreme conditions in the name of research. Some vaults were built to observe how people would react to scarcity, while others were designed to test the limits of human psychology, from forced isolation to artificial scarcity of resources. Vault Tech's callous disregard for the lives of its vault dwellers left a legacy of betrayal and trauma. Fact 99. The Great Khans, despite their violent history, are a faction that values strength, honor, and independence. Once a raider gang, the Khans have evolved into a more structured and organized society. Their warrior code, which emphasizes survival and self-reliance, sets them apart from other factions that seek to dominate or conquer. The Khans reject both the NCR and Caesar's Legion, preferring to carve out their own path in the wasteland. Their desire for autonomy and their refusal to be subjugated by others make them a faction defined by defiance and resilience in a world that often demands compliance. Fact 100. The gunners, while often hired for high-paying jobs, operate with the precision of a military unit, making them one of the most formidable factions in the Commonwealth. Unlike other mercenaries who fight for profit alone, the gunners are highly disciplined, organized, and professional. They are often called upon to take on dangerous missions, including the protection of valuable assets and the elimination of threats. Their military training, combined with their use of advanced weaponry, makes them an invaluable asset for those who can afford their services. However, their lack of loyalty and willingness to work for anyone makes them dangerous to all. Fact 101. The Institute's work in creating synths is not only about the pursuit of technological advancement, but also about the evolution of humanity. The synths represent a new form of life, one that can potentially surpass human limitations. While the Institute views them as their greatest achievement, many synths begin to question their existence, leading to internal conflict. The moral implications of creating life that possesses consciousness and emotions become the central issue within the Institute. The question of whether these artificial beings deserve freedom or should remain controlled by their creators is one of the defining struggles in the wasteland. Fact 102. The Brotherhood of Steel's role in the wasteland has often been controversial, as their military presence can both protect and oppress. Their belief in the sanctity of technology drives them to preserve advanced pre-war technology at all costs, often at the expense of others. While their missions have included saving settlements from dangerous threats, their tendency to hoard technology and enforce their ideals of military order often alienates them from other factions. The Brotherhood's refusal to share their technological advances with the common people has made them both a valued ally and a powerful, sometimes oppressive force. Fact 103. The NCR's quest to restore law and order to the wasteland often puts them at odds with other factions that do not share their vision of governance. While the NCR strives for a democratic society based on pre-war ideals, their expansion often leads to conflicts with groups that view their control as an imposition. The NCR's efforts to provide stability are often undermined by corruption and the difficulty of managing an ever-expanding territory. Their reliance on a large military to maintain order has also made them a target for factions like Caesar's Legion, who see the NCR as a threat to their vision of the wasteland. Fact 104. Caesar's Legion operates with an iron fist, emphasizing discipline, control, and power. The Legion is built on a Roman-inspired system where slaves are used to build their empire, and military might is the ultimate form of authority. Caesar, the leader of the Legion, is a self-proclaimed ruler with a grand vision of unifying the wasteland under his rule. The Legion's brutal methods, which include the enslavement of conquered peoples and the use of fear as a weapon, make them one of the most ruthless factions in the wasteland. Despite their cruelty, the Legion's unyielding discipline and strength make them a formidable opponent. Fact 105. The children of Adam's belief that radiation is a divine force places them in stark contrast to other factions. While most groups fear radiation as a destructive element, the children of Adam see it as a purifying and transformative energy. They believe that those who embrace radiation will be blessed with enlightenment and rebirth, and they seek out highly irradiated areas in hopes of communing with their god, Adam. Their radical faith, though often misunderstood, provides a sense of purpose and identity in a world that has been shaped by nuclear destruction. To them, radiation is not a curse, but a gift. Fact 106. The Minutemen, a faction born from the desire to protect the wasteland's inhabitants, have become a symbol of hope for many who have been abandoned by larger, more powerful groups. Their core values are centered around cooperation, self reliance, and defense of the common people. The Minutemen believe that every individual has the right to live free from fear and oppression, and they work tirelessly to defend settlements from raiders, mutants, and other dangers. Though their numbers are small and resources limited, the Minutemen continue to inspire those who dream of a world where the people, not the powerful, hold the reins. Fact 107. The railroad's dedication to the freedom of synths is unwavering, as they see these artificial beings as deserving of the same rights as any human. While the Institute treats synths as property to be controlled, the railroad views them as individuals who have the right to live free from enslavement. The railroad's underground network of safe houses, secret routes, and covert operations has allowed them to rescue many synths from the Institute's clutches. However, their fight for freedom is constantly threatened by the Institute's relentless pursuit of their creations. Despite the dangers, the railroad remains a beacon of hope for the oppressed synths. Fact 108. The gunners' reputation as mercenaries is built on their efficiency, professionalism, and willingness to take on any job. Unlike other raider groups, the gunners operate as a well-organized military force, providing their services to the highest bidder. Their military precision and tactical expertise make them a formidable force in the wasteland, but their lack of allegiance to any cause makes them dangerous. The gunners are motivated solely by profit, and their willingness to take on morally questionable jobs has earned them a reputation as ruthless, opportunistic mercenaries who will stop at nothing to achieve their goals. Fact 109. Vault-Tech's vaults were not merely shelters from the nuclear apocalypse, but were in fact part of a larger plan to manipulate human behavior and social dynamics. Each vault was designed to study how individuals and communities would respond to various extreme conditions. Some vaults were intended to isolate inhabitants, others to provoke conflict, and still others to test the effects of extreme resource scarcity. Vault-Tech's experiments were conducted without the consent of the residents, and the outcomes were often disastrous. The corporation's disregard for human life in the name of experimentation has made them one of the most despised entities in the wasteland. Fact 110. The Great Khans are a faction built on strength, resilience, and independence. Originally a group of raiders, the Khans have evolved into a more organized and structured society that values self-reliance above all else. They reject the authority of both the NCR and Caesar's Legion, choosing instead to carve out their own path in the wasteland. The Khan's warrior code is rooted in survival, and their resistance to outside control makes them a unique faction in the Mojave. Despite their violent past, the Khan's desire for autonomy and self determination has allowed them to survive in a world that often demands conformity. Fact 111: the Institute's ability to produce synths, who are often indistinguishable from humans, has allowed them to infiltrate various organizations and exert control in ways other factions cannot. While the Institute claims that their synths are simply tools to help rebuild society, the reality is far more complex. Many synths begin to question their existence, especially when they realize they have emotions and independent thoughts. This creates a moral dilemma for the Institute. Are they creating life or simply crafting sophisticated tools? The synth's struggle for autonomy becomes a central conflict that questions the boundaries between creator and creation, life and machine. Fact 112: the Brotherhood of Steel's approach to technology preservation is marked by both reverence and fear. Though they are dedicated to safeguarding humanity from the potential misuse of advanced technologies, their tendency to keep such knowledge under lock and key often leads to tension with other factions. The Brotherhood views technology as both a weapon and a tool for survival, believing that only a select few should have the power to wield it. This elitist perspective can create friction as factions like the NCR seek to democratize technology, believing that sharing knowledge can help rebuild society more effectively. Fact 113: the new California Republic, NCR, has ambitions to recreate the United States, but their efforts are continually hampered by corruption, logistical problems, and the challenges of maintaining unity among the diverse settlements they control. While the NCR's ideal of a democratic republic is rooted in the belief that a united society is the key to survival, the realities of life in the wasteland are far more complicated. The NCR is stretched thin by constant battles with Caesar's legion, internal political struggles, and the task of governing a vast and often fractured territory. Despite these challenges, the NCR remains a beacon of hope for some. Fact 114: Caesar's legion thrives on strict discipline, militaristic values, and the enslavement of its conquered peoples. Led by Caesar, who views himself as a divine ruler, the legion believes in the survival of the fittest, with the strong ruling over the weak. The legion's method of governance is based on fear, brutality, and absolute control. Unlike the NCR, which seeks to restore pre-war ideals of democracy, the Legion wants to impose a singular vision of order, one where absolute power is held by the strongest. Their militaristic expansionism has made them one of the most feared and reviled factions in the wasteland. Fact 115: the children of Adam see the destruction caused by the Great War as a necessary purification, believing that radiation is a divine force capable of transforming the world. While most factions view radiation as a curse to be avoided, the children of Adam worship it, considering it sacred and transformative. They view the irradiated landscape as holy ground, a place where they can commune with their god, Adam. Their belief that radiation holds the key to humanity's rebirth has led them to seek out areas of high radiation where they believe they will be blessed with divine power. Fact 116: the Minutemen's values revolve around protecting the common folk of the wasteland. Unlike other factions that fight for power or control, the Minutemen's primary focus is on defense and mutual cooperation. They believe that every person deserves to live free from fear, whether from raiders, super mutants, or other threats. The Minutemen offer protection to settlements and communities, helping them rebuild and thrive in an otherwise hostile world. Though they may not possess the military might of the Brotherhood or the NCR, the Minutemen's belief in self-reliance and cooperation makes them an essential force for good in the wasteland. Fact 117: the railroad operates in secret, its members working tirelessly to free synths from the Institute's control. While most factions see synths as little more than tools or weapons, the railroad believes that these artificial beings are sentient and deserve the same rights as humans. Their underground network provides safe houses, secret passageways, and resources to help synths escape from the Institute's grasp. Despite the constant threat of discovery, the railroad remains committed to their cause, seeing their actions as a moral obligation to fight for the freedom and dignity of synths, regardless of the danger to themselves. Fact 118: the Gunners, one of the most feared mercenary groups in the Commonwealth, are known for their military precision and ruthless efficiency. Unlike other raider groups, the Gunners operate with discipline and organization, resembling a professional army rather than a chaotic band of criminals. They take on high-risk missions that require tactical expertise, including providing protection for powerful factions or eliminating dangerous threats. The Gunners are motivated purely by profit, willing to take on any job, no matter how morally questionable. Their lack of allegiance to any cause other than money makes them unpredictable and dangerous in the wasteland. Fact 119: Vault Tech's experiments, hidden behind the veneer of safety and shelter, were in fact cruel and twisted tests on human behavior. The vaults were not designed simply to protect the residents from the nuclear apocalypse, but rather to observe how people would react to extreme conditions. Some vaults isolated their inhabitants from the outside world, while others created artificial scarcity or even encouraged conflict between residents. Vault Tech's true mission was to study human endurance and social dynamics in crisis, with little regard for the well-being of those who had placed their trust in the corporation's promises of safety and protection. Fact 120: the Great Khans, once known for their ruthless raiding and violence, have evolved into a more complex faction with their own sense of honor and independence. They reject the authority of both the NCR and Caesar's Legion, choosing instead to live by their own rules. The Khan's warrior code is rooted in self-reliance, and their desire for autonomy has led them to resist being subjugated by more powerful factions. Despite their violent past, The Khans now seek to carve out a place for themselves in the wasteland where they can live on their own terms, free from outside control. Fact 121. The Institute's influence stretches far beyond its underground laboratories in the Commonwealth. As the creators of the synths, the Institute holds a powerful grip on the future of the wasteland. Their desire to replace humanity with their synthetic creations raises deep ethical questions about the value of life. While the Institute's leaders believe they are improving humanity by creating superior beings, their methods often involve manipulation and secrecy. The conflict between those who want to preserve humanity as it is and those who wish to replace it with artificial creations is at the heart of the Institute's moral struggle. Fact 122. The Brotherhood of Steel's Code of Conduct places a heavy emphasis on military discipline, which is both a strength and a weakness. While their organization is capable of powerful, coordinated action, their rigid hierarchy often makes them inflexible when dealing with the realities of the wasteland. Their insistence on controlling and hoarding advanced technology has caused tension with other factions that believe technology should be used for the betterment of all. Though the Brotherhood's military power is undeniable, their refusal to compromise with other factions limits their ability to form alliances, isolating them from potential allies who might share their goals. Fact 123. The New California Republic, NCR, sees itself as the best hope for restoring democracy in the wasteland. Founded by survivors of Vault 13, the NCR has spread its influence across the Mojave and other regions, seeking to bring stability and law to the chaotic world. However, the NCR's expansion is not without its problems. The sheer size of their territory makes governance difficult, and their military efforts are often spread thin. Corruption within their ranks and the burden of managing multiple conflicts, particularly with Caesar's Legion, undermine their effectiveness. Despite these challenges, the NCR's vision for a peaceful, democratic society continues to drive them. Fact 124. Caesar's Legion, led by the brutal and calculating Caesar, represents the opposite of the NCR's ideals. While the NCR strives for democracy, the Legion operates on a strict, hierarchical system where the strong rule over the weak. Their system of enslavement and totalitarian control is designed to bring order to the wasteland, but at the cost of freedom. The Legion's conquest of the Mojave is a campaign of fear and discipline where all are either soldiers or slaves. Caesar's vision for the future is one where the strong dominate and the weak are subjugated. His empire is built on cruelty, but it is also unified by his unyielding leadership. Fact 125. The children of Adam, while often seen as radical and fringe by other factions, have a deep, unwavering faith in the atom as a divine force. Their belief is that radiation is not something to fear, but something to embrace. They view the wasteland's irradiated zones as holy ground, where they can commune with their god, Adam. The children of Adam are driven by a desire to spread their faith to others, often converting those who have been affected by radiation. Their devotion is absolute, and they believe that the atom will ultimately lead to the rebirth of the world, even if others view their beliefs as madness. Fact 126. The Minutemen are a faction dedicated to the protection of the people, believing that every settlement in the wasteland has the right to defend itself from raiders, mutants, and other threats. Unlike other factions, the Minutemen do not seek to expand their power or territory. Rather, they focus on the safety and security of their communities. Their goal is to create a network of mutual aid, where each settlement helps defend the others in times of need. While they lack the military might of the Brotherhood or the NCR, the Minutemen's dedication to their cause makes them a force for good in the wasteland. Fact 127. The Railroad's mission is one of freedom, and their primary goal is to liberate the synths created by the Institute. Unlike the Institute, which treats the synths as property, the Railroad believes that these artificial beings are sentient and deserving of the same rights as humans. The Railroad's underground network, composed of dedicated operatives and sympathizers, works tirelessly to help synths escape the Institute's control. They operate in secrecy, using safe houses, hidden routes, and covert operations to keep their activities undetected. The Railroad's fight for freedom puts them at constant risk of discovery by the Institute, but they remain resolute in their cause. Fact 128. The Gunners are a highly disciplined mercenary group, known for their precision and ruthlessness. Unlike other raider factions, the Gunners operate with military precision and professionalism. They are hired to perform high-risk operations, including assassinations, raids, and other dangerous missions. While they are motivated by profit, the Gunners are also highly organized, making them a more formidable force than the typical raider gang. Their military training and use of advanced weaponry allow them to carry out missions with deadly efficiency. However, their lack of moral boundaries and willingness to work for anyone with enough caps has made them feared throughout the wasteland. Fact 129. Vault Tech's true purpose behind the vaults was not to preserve humanity from the fallout of nuclear war, but to conduct a series of cruel experiments on the inhabitants. Each vault was designed to observe how humans would react to extreme conditions, such as isolation, resource scarcity, and psychological stress. Some vaults were even engineered to create conflict between the inhabitants, testing how they would respond to forced competition. Vault Tech's experiments were not just about survival, they were about control, manipulation, and observation. The corporation's callousness has left a dark legacy in the wasteland, as many Vault residents were subjected to horrific conditions. Fact 130. The Great Khans have long been a symbol of defiance in the wasteland. Originally a gang of raiders, the Khans have transformed over the years into a faction that values strength, independence, and honor. They reject the authority of the NCR and Caesar's Legion, choosing instead to follow their own path. The Khan's warrior code is deeply rooted in self reliance and respect for their own survival, making them one of the more independent factions in the Mojave. Though their violent past is not forgotten, the Khans now seek a future where they can thrive on their own terms, free from external control. Fact 131. The Institute's rise to power has been fueled by its scientific advances, particularly its ability to create and control synths. These synthetic humans are the Institute's most controversial creation, blurring the lines between man and machine. While the Institute views the synths as tools to further their goals, the creations themselves often question their existence and place in the world. The moral implications of creating life, particularly when that life can think and feel, create a rift between the Institute and other factions. This struggle for autonomy becomes central to the ongoing conflict between the Institute and those who oppose them. Fact 132. The Brotherhood of Steel's commitment to technological preservation has made them one of the most formidable factions in the wasteland. Their primary goal is to secure and protect advanced pre-war technology, which they believe holds the key to humanity's survival. However, their strict adherence to this mission often makes them seem like an authoritarian group, unwilling to share their knowledge with others. The Brotherhood's power comes from its ability to control advanced weaponry and military technology, but this control is often seen as a threat by those who believe that the future of the wasteland should be shaped by cooperation, not control. Fact 133. The New California Republic, NCR, is one of the most ambitious factions in the wasteland, with the goal of restoring a democratic society based on pre-war ideals. The NCR has grown significantly over the years, with settlements across the Mojave and beyond. However, their size and reach come at a cost. The NCR struggles with bureaucracy, corruption, and internal divisions that make it difficult to maintain control over their territory. Despite these challenges, the NCR's commitment to democracy and order makes them a significant player in the wasteland's power struggles, often in conflict with the more authoritarian factions like Caesar's Legion. Fact 134. Caesar's Legion is an empire built on the concept of survival of the fittest. Their philosophy is one of absolute control, where the strong dominate and the weak are subjugated. Caesar, the self-proclaimed leader, has modeled his legion after the ancient Roman Empire, using slavery, military discipline, and fear to maintain order. The legion's brutal tactics, including the use of crucifixion and slavery, make them one of the most feared factions in the wasteland. While their methods are harsh, they see themselves as the rightful rulers of the Mojave, and their goal is to impose a new world order based on their ideology. Fact 135. The children of Adam's belief in radiation as a divine force places them at odds with nearly every other faction in the wasteland. While other groups see radiation as a dangerous byproduct of the apocalypse, the children of Adam see it as a gift that will lead to humanity's spiritual and physical rebirth. They worship the atom and believe that radiation is a transformative power that will cleanse the world. Their devotion to this belief leads them to seek out the most irradiated areas in the wasteland where they can commune with their God, Adam, and receive its blessings. Fact 136. The Minutemen's core mission is to protect the people of the wasteland, particularly those in smaller settlements that are vulnerable to raiders, mutants, and other threats. Unlike other factions that are driven by power or conquest, the Minutemen operate on the belief that every person has the right to live freely and securely. Their operations are based on mutual cooperation and defense, not military might. The Minutemen work to unite settlements and ensure that they are capable of defending themselves from the dangers of the wasteland. They are a symbol of hope for those who have been abandoned by the more powerful factions. Fact 137. The Railroad is one of the most secretive factions in the wasteland, dedicated to the liberation of synths from the Institute's control. They believe that synths, despite being artificial, are sentient beings, deserving of the same rights and freedoms as humans. The Railroad's members operate in secrecy, using hidden networks and safe houses to assist synths in escaping the Institute's grasp. Their efforts put them at constant risk, as the Institute views the Railroad as a threat to their control over the synths. Despite this, the Railroad remains steadfast in their belief that the freedom of the synths is worth any sacrifice. Fact 138. The Gunners are one of the most professional and disciplined mercenary groups in the Commonwealth. Unlike other raiders who rely on sheer numbers and brute force, the Gunners operate with military precision and tactical expertise. They are often hired for the most dangerous and high-profile jobs, including protecting high-value assets, eliminating rival factions, and taking on missions that require specialized skills. The Gunners' reputation for efficiency and ruthlessness has earned them both wealth and fear throughout the wasteland. However, their lack of loyalty to any particular cause means that they are often willing to work for anyone who can afford their services. Fact 139. Vault Tech's true intentions behind the vaults were far darker than most people realize. While the vaults were marketed as safe havens from the nuclear apocalypse, they were actually part of a series of cruel and inhumane experiments on the inhabitants. These social experiments were designed to test how people would respond to extreme conditions such as isolation, limited resources, and even artificial conflict. Vault-Tech's goal was never to protect humanity, but to observe how different groups would behave under pressure. The corporation's legacy is one of betrayal and manipulation, leaving behind a trail of suffering and tragedy in its wake. Fact 140. The Great Khans, once a chaotic group of raiders, have evolved into a faction that values strength, honor, and self-reliance. They reject the authority of both the NCR and Caesar's Legion, choosing instead to live according to their own rules. The Khan's warrior code, which emphasizes survival and respect for their traditions, has allowed them to survive in the harshest of environments. While they are still viewed as a violent group by many, the Great Khan's desire for independence and their refusal to be controlled by outside forces make them a unique and resilient faction in the wasteland. Fact 141. The Institute's underground operations have always been shrouded in secrecy, making it difficult for outsiders to understand the full scope of their actions. Their work with synths is not just a technological advancement, but a calculated effort to reshape the future of humanity. The Institute believes that human civilization can be improved through artificial intelligence and synthetic life, but their vision comes at a cost. The synths, who begin as programmed machines, eventually start developing independent thoughts and emotions. This evolution forces the Institute to confront the ethical dilemma of controlling life that might be capable of independent thought and free will. Fact 142. The Brotherhood of Steel's militaristic approach to governance and technology often brings them into conflict with those who seek a more inclusive future for the wasteland. While their technological expertise is undeniable, their rigid adherence to their own code leaves little room for compromise. Their leadership, which has often been divided between factions that favor isolationism and those that want to interact more with other groups, reflects their internal struggle. The Brotherhood's focus on safeguarding humanity from dangerous technology can sometimes lead to the oppression of those they believe are unworthy of such power, creating tension with other factions. Fact 143. The New California Republic, NCR, has made significant strides in rebuilding the Mojave region, but the very foundation of their government, democracy, often proves to be their greatest weakness. The NCR's large and sprawling bureaucracy is often bogged down by corruption and inefficiency. Their attempts to establish order in the Mojave are often undermined by political infighting and their inability to keep their military forces properly supplied. The NCR's idealism about restoring the United States is often at odds with the harsh realities of governing in a post-apocalyptic world. Despite these challenges, they remain one of the most powerful forces in the wasteland. Fact 144. Caesar's Legion is a faction that thrives on fear and domination. They believe that strength is the key to survival and that order can only be achieved through absolute control. Under Caesar's rule, the Legion is organized like a military dictatorship, where slaves are used as laborers and warriors are trained to fight in brutal campaigns of conquest. Their reign is based on discipline, violence, and the belief that the strong should rule over the weak. While their methods are savage, their efficiency and unity make them one of the most dangerous factions in the Mojave, constantly threatening to overrun the NCR. Fact 145. The children of Adam are not merely a cult of radiation worshippers. They see themselves as the chosen ones, selected by Adam to guide the world into a new age. Unlike other factions, who view radiation as a curse, the children of Adam embrace it as a divine blessing. They believe that the world must be cleansed through radiation, and those who survive will be transformed into something greater. Their faith drives them to seek out irradiated areas, often putting themselves in grave danger in the process. Though misunderstood and often feared, the children of Adam remain devoted to their cause of spiritual and physical renewal. Fact 146. The Minutemen's primary focus has always been the protection of people, particularly those in vulnerable settlements. While other factions fight for control, the Minutemen believe that survival should be about cooperation and mutual defense. Their core values, freedom, equality, and security, set them apart from more authoritarian factions. However, their decentralized structure means they are often disorganized and struggle with resources, making it difficult for them to mount a cohesive defense against larger, more powerful factions like the Brotherhood or NCR. Despite these obstacles, the Minutemen's unwavering commitment to the safety of ordinary people remains their defining trait. Fact 147. The railroad's secretive operations have allowed them to remain a thorn in the side of the Institute. For years, dedicated to freeing synths from the Institute's control, the railroad works in the shadows, using covert tactics to extract the artificial beings from the Institute's grasp. Unlike other factions, the railroad sees synths as more than just machines. They are individuals with feelings, thoughts, and a right to freedom. The railroad's members risk their lives to help the synths escape to a better future, often operating on limited resources and under constant threat of discovery by the powerful Institute. Fact 148. The Gunners, as a mercenary faction, operate with military discipline and professionalism, setting them apart from other raider groups. They take on high-risk missions for anyone willing to pay their price, offering protection, assassination, and military operations. Their strict hierarchy and lack of moral compass make them a powerful force in the wasteland. While they are not driven by any ideological goals, the Gunners' efficiency and tactical expertise have earned them a reputation as one of the most dangerous mercenary groups. Their willingness to work for the highest bidder, regardless of the cause, makes them a neutral but ruthless force in the Mojave. Fact 149. Vault-Tech's vaults were designed not for the protection of humanity, but for the study of human behavior under extreme conditions. The experiments conducted within the vaults were often cruel and inhumane, with the inhabitants unaware that they were being observed for scientific purposes. Some vaults were designed to test the effects of isolation, while others created artificial scarcity or forced their residents into social conflict. Vault-Tech's experiments left behind a trail of suffering, with many vaults becoming tombs for their inhabitants. The true purpose of the vaults was never survival. It was always to observe and manipulate human reactions for research. Fact 150. The great Khans, known for their violent past, have evolved into a faction that values independence and honor. Unlike other raider groups, the Khans have developed a sense of pride and respect for their own traditions. They reject the authority of both the NCR and Caesar's Legion, preferring to chart their own course in the wasteland. The Khan's warrior code is based on strength, survival, and self reliance, which sets them apart from more oppressive factions. While their violent history cannot be erased, the great Khans now seek a future where they can live on their own terms, free from outside control. Thank you for joining me tonight as we explored the intricate stories of the Fallout factions. As the wasteland comes alive in your mind, may the echoes of their struggles and triumphs serve as a gentle reminder of the complex paths we walk, even in the most uncertain of times. Whether they were driven by power, by a desire for freedom, or by the pursuit of survival, each faction has left its mark on the world. Now, as we drift away from the stories of the Institute, the Brotherhood, and the others, may your thoughts grow quiet and your heart find peace in the stillness. Take a deep breath, let go of the day's weight, and allow yourself to fall into a calm, restful sleep. Good night, dear friend. May your dreams be as vast and open as the wasteland itself, filled with light and quiet contemplation.